Hi everybody, this is Sandra Angelo broadcasting live from Sandyland, and we're on episode 9. I can't believe it's already been 9 days since we started this. It's been so much fun and so exciting to be with you every night since in December, and so we're real excited to have you with us tonight. So tonight I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. First of all, I want to go over what it is that masters do that amateurs don't, or we could actually call it what rich artists do that poor artists don't. And there is a big difference, but there's one main thing that's different between a poor artist and a rich artist. And we're talking about poor in terms of just the experience of art and not being high quality work, and poor in terms of a lot of things just besides money, because riches, we know, are not always tied to money, but a lot of times they are, because money gives us options and it gives us freedom and different possibilities. So I'm going to be talking about the main thing that rich artists do and masters do that amateurs and poor artists don't. That'll be in our motivational talk. And then I'm going to be talking about how black and white drawing and learning the basics that you learn in grade 1 of art college is going to help you tremendously when you segue into other media. And we're going to show some amazing examples from my atelier, the Advanced Apprenticeship Program, of students that have just done epic work. And so I'm super excited for you to see all of that tonight. I'm looking at the computer screen just to make sure that we're actually on the right page. I don't see anybody typing in, so if you're here, would you just say, I'm here? And that way I'll know I'm on the right screen. Let me just see here if that will make a difference of whether or not I can see you. Okay, good. Betty chimed in, so we know that she's here. Okay, so I am on the right page, and we're ready to get started. Also, at the very end, I'm going to be giving you the homework, and I'm going to do a new habit too. I'm going to start putting the homework on this video. So at the top of this video, you're going to see your homework, so it's easy to find every night. You don't need to go through the whole Facebook feed, which changes frequently. And that way you're going to see your homework and what you're supposed to be doing tonight. Okay, so let's get started with the motivational talk, one of my favorite parts of the evening. Okay, so I was just thinking about this today and about why some people are so successful and some people just spend their whole life in the failure category, and they don't get, their dreams don't come true, and they don't get better at their work, and they don't win prizes, they don't get these oohs and ahs that you get from your family saying, oh my goodness, I can't believe you drew that, it's so beautiful, I love it, I'll cherish it forever. They don't get the accolades, and they also look at their paper and they don't know what to change, they don't know what they're doing wrong. And so, but then there's these other artists who can start out really bad. I'm going to show you an example of one of the students in our Advanced Apprenticeship Program, Teresa Clifton, who started out at the back of the line. She and Linda O'Brien were vying for the lowest level in that class. Well, Marianne was a contender too. And they were just amazing. They showed up all the time. And they kept practicing, and they kept applying the techniques. And they kept working hard until they won gold stars. And I'm actually going to be showing you one of Teresa's drawings tonight because I'm so proud of how far she's come, and she's on her way to epic success. So I'm going to show you people at the bottom of the stack, and then I'm going to show you people at the top, like Joanne Ray, who's been in my atelier for several years, and she is fielding lucrative commissions, and she started out really strong. Her skills were really good, and the same with Boyd. His skills were really good when he started, but he had stuff he was doing wrong and making those same mistakes over and over. And so in the Advanced Apprenticeship Program, we corrected that. And then Joanne went through that too, and then she got invited into the prestigious atelier, which Boyd just got invited into too. And so now you're seeing this epic growth and phenomenal changes. And one of the changes for Joanne was that she had two several $1,000 commissioned portraits that she pulled off. I'm going to show you one of them tonight. And she was even working from a horrible photo, and she still pulled it off. And then I'm going to be showing more of that success. I like to show the before and after, because a lot of people, you know, they just kind of don't believe that they can make that progress, and they certainly don't think they can make it as fast as we do here in the Art Village. So I'm going to talk about what's the difference between success and failure, and why do some artists get rich and some artists stay poor, and why do some artists become masters and other artists stay stuck. Okay? So here's the big thing. The big thing is mindset. Mindset. Now, I was guilty of this because I grew up in a mud hut. Okay, let's be honest. I was wearing all used clothes. I never had a new dress till I was 9 years old. And we were what Americans would call poor. I never felt poor because we lived in the biggest mud hut, and we had nice clothes, and we had food, and we had so much more than the Africans around us that I never felt poor. But by American standards, we were poor. And when we came to America, that's when the first time I ever really felt poor. And that's just because in Africa, I had more than everybody. In America, I had less. And so it was a relative comparison. And then I noticed that my friends, I went to a private boarding school because some businessman paid my way. And all my friends were wealthy. And I noticed that they were staying at the Hilton and the Hyatt and the Marriott. And if we went someplace, we either camped out in a tent or stayed at the Motel 6 or the Holiday Inn, or we stayed with friends. We just didn't, you know, we weren't in that category. So I kind of had a mindset that that was where I belonged, you know. And I mean, I didn't object to it, but secretly inside, I kind of, you know, looked at that other life and I thought, wow, that would be really awesome to be able to just go out to dinner and buy whatever you want, or, you know, stay in a place where, you know, there wasn't noise from the room next door. And, you know, I kind of just like had that mindset, and I kind of lived that way. And I started getting good jobs where I could afford more than that, but my mindset was in that category. And you know, you kind of stay with what you grew up with. And so something really wonderful happened. I mentioned it yesterday, and that was that I got this incredible job where I was given a brand new Gran Torino, and I was allowed to circulate through. I had a job where I had to travel to Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and there was one other state. Anyway, it was 4 western states that were just gorgeous. And it was almost like a paid vacation. I would work sometimes 2 hours a day, and I was supposed to stay in the Marriott or the Hilton or the Hyatt or, you know, all the fancy hotels because that was what they expected. And I started changing my mindset. And I just started enjoying it. I started loving that I could buy whatever I wanted and expense it to my account, and I could eat the food that I wanted to eat and I always wondered about. And I just kind of made a mental shift, you know, and I started realizing that I might have been born to the wrong address. Maybe I should have been born to a castle, because I really liked having options. You know, I liked being able to buy what I wanted and to go on trips if I wanted to, and to have a nice car that didn't stall at every stop sign. Back before I changed like this, I had my first car cost $600, and I had to carry jumper cables because at almost every stoplight I had to get out and jump the car. And so I liked being able to function efficiently and easily in the world. And so my mindset shifted, and I started expecting more, and I started wanting more, and I started getting more, because what you think about is what you get. And so, but I didn't move in that category in the art world because I was really bad. When I called to tell my mom that I was going to major in art, this is how bad I was. She said, no, honey, don't do that. You're not good enough. You should stay in whatever subject I was in, and you can't make money in art. I mean, this is my own mom. I didn't even make it to my own mom's fridge, for crying out loud. That's how bad I was. And but I just had this quiet voice in my heart that was telling me, this is what you were meant to do. So I majored in art. And I was late coming to the table. The people in my classes had 14 years of art, and I was starting my first, so I was sitting next to my best friend who had 14 years of art. She just spit out these masterpieces, and I was trying to figure out what colors to use. In the color theory class, I was trying to learn how to draw, and my work was just pitiful. But I had 2 years of college art, and then I went on to teach art, which is sad for my students because I didn't have that much training. At least I was better because I was teaching beginners, but I wasn't that much better. So that's when I started buying books and trying to improve, and I was gradually crawling from mediocre to not quite as mediocre. And I didn't know. I spent 10 years in that category because I didn't know about studying with masters because I hadn't studied art history. Well, I ended up where I had to teach art history in one of the schools where I taught. And I found out that the way people became good was they apprenticed with a master. It made complete sense. I mean, if you want to be amazing at golf, you might hire Tiger Woods, or if you're older and I can't tell you who you should hire. I'm not a golfer. But whoever the current champion is, you're going to get there faster if you hire that guy. If you want to be a gold medal winner, you've got to hire somebody who's won a gold, or somebody who's coached somebody who's won a gold. And so I started to realize, oh my gosh, that's what I have to change. So that's when I started apprenticing with masters. And then I discovered the best way to succeed is to apprentice with one master, the kind of master that you want to emulate. And so I ended up apprenticing with this guy who was earning, right now he's earning $20,000 to $50,000 a portrait. He wasn't quite as famous then, but he was phenomenal. And so I started apprenticing with him, and in a very short amount of time, I went from zero to amazing. He only saw me for like a week, and I, apprenticed with him, and he gave me advice and everything, and then I started practicing. He came back the next year to our symposium, because I was the executive director of 11 international symposiums on drawing, and he came back, and he walked into my house, and he looked at my gallery, because I had turned my living room into a gallery, and he said, whose work is that? Because he was surprised to see that amazing work in my house, because the last time he was there, it wasn't any amazing art. In fact, that was when all the masters had kind of gathered in my studio and laughed at my work. Very painful. And so he was looking at the gallery, and he said, whose work is that? And I said, it's mine. And his mouth just dropped. It's just like, what? Because literally the year before, he had been there, and I was so bad that they were all laughing at me. And between that time that I apprenticed with him and this year, I'd landed a huge commission in a corporate, Scripps Women's Hospital, bought 9 of my pieces. A guy commissioned me to do a portrait of him and his wife for $3,200, which in today's dollars is probably $7,000 for my first portrait. I had just taken off like a rocket from the little bit of information that he'd given me. Okay? And so I started changing my mindset when I saw that even this master that I'd apprenticed with had tremendous admiration for me. And so I started expecting more, and I started entering these things. Like, I applied to the Artist magazine. I sent them articles, queries, and they accepted the first 2 articles that I sent them. I started getting published in Art Materials Today and American Artist and the Artist magazine, and I was given my own column in Michael's Arts and Crafts and Art Materials Today. I started writing for the Decorative Painter, and all this stuff just started happening. The Washington Post wrote a full-page column about me on the front of their TV guide. And my expectations started to change. I didn't think of myself as a bad artist anymore. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't have insecurities. I do. It doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. My drawers are full of experiments. I'm going to show you tonight how our wonderful Anastasia from Russia that apprenticed with me had, she experimented before she did these amazing portraits of her children. And so masters always do vignettes and they always do experiments before they perform. But they know they're going to succeed and they keep staying at it till they do. And they feel like they deserve to win a prize. And they feel like they can win a contest when they enter it, and they can approach the Artist magazine, and those articles will get accepted. I ended up writing them for years and years and years until I stopped being interested in writing magazine columns. And I ended up on all these television shows. I got invited by these major corporations to demonstrate for them on the Discovery Channel. I got invited to Opryland to do 5 television shows, and on it went. And so when you start changing the way you think about yourself, other people start changing the way they think about you too. And I still remember the first time that I got respect. I mean, after being laughed at by all these prominent masters that I had hired, you can imagine I was like really, really insecure, So, and I was treated badly in the beginning when I was bad. I was a bad artist, let's admit it, but one day, after I had gotten tons of credentials and I had been receiving all kinds of accolades, the Rhode Island School of Design said I was the #1 art coach in the United States. And so I applied to go to this convention. It was a quilting convention. I love to quilt. I love fabric, as you can see from my outfit today. And I love sewing. I sewed all my own clothes when I was a little girl. My mom taught me how. And so I love quilting, and I was hired by this manufacturer who had treated me like dirt back when I was bad. And then they came to respect me so highly because of all the credentials I started collecting. They actually hired me and paid me thousands of dollars to attend this quilt show so that I could interview people who were using their archival pens and produce a video about how to use pens with watercolor pencils. And so I contacted the Quilting Association to see if I could get a room or if they knew of any rooms, because everything was sold out for miles, because this company had sort of hired me at the last minute, and all the hotels. I mean, Paducah, Kentucky is where they go every year for this big quilt thing. If you love quilts, that's the place to go. I walked for 12 hours a day for 4 days, and I didn't see everything. It was fabulous for those of us who love fabric. And so I contacted the Quilting Association that puts this on, and I said, I'm in the media, and I'm coming to do videos for this prominent, international. It was a Japanese manufacturer, and they're extremely well known. And I'm going to be doing videos and interviewing people and blah blah blah. And they said, well, why don't you fax us your credentials and we'll see what we can do. So I faxed them the list of awards and commissions and accolades and collections and publications I'd been in and all the work, it took like 2 or 3 pages to send them my credentials. And, I was still in the mindset that I wasn't amazing yet. I was like, what does it take? How many awards do you need to get before you realize that you're starting to become amazing? But I'm not a real, out there person, so I never think of myself as being particularly special. And they called me back the minute they got my fax, and they said, we're going to give you an executive suite. We're going to have a limo meet you at the airport. You can have a 4-day pass. You can have anything you want. I felt like a celebrity. I mean, it was like, wow, I've arrived. I've arrived now. I finally realized I was famous and I was successful. And it switched. This little, switch happened in my brain where I just moved from being, an artist who was trying really hard to, I knew I was a celebrity. I knew I was successful. And there was just this switch, kind of like when they handed me that credit card at that company that hired me. I had this little switch in my brain, And before I, switched in my brain in business, I used to settle for less than, the money that I deserved. And I used to settle for less than awards. I wouldn't even enter contests because I didn't think I could win them. And I had a different mindset about who I am, And I still don't think of myself as being this big celebrity. But in some circles where I go, people are astonished to meet me. And it even happened recently at the ranch. I was out at this event, and you see my face a lot now because I'm on Facebook Live. But before that, my face wasn't connected to a lot of the things I did. So it was my name that was famous and not so much my face. So I was at this event at my ranch. It was actually a hoedown. And I was talking to this woman on the porch, and you could tell she was bored. She didn't want to talk to me. She was preoccupied. And I was just trying to be polite because I'm the cousin of the people that own the ranch, and I felt like I needed to be hospitable. But I could tell she was kind of brushing me off. So I thought, okay, that's fine. She can do whatever she wants to do, and I'll just go sit here on the porch and watch the kids dance because they were down on the basketball court dancing. So I just went there and I was watching the sunset. I had done as much as I could do to be polite, but she was kind of brushing me off. Well, it was really funny because someone came up on the porch and said, Sandra, Angelo, you need to be down there dancing. And she did this like almost, what do you call that when you get whiplash? Almost like a whiplash. She looked at me and she went, "You're Sandra Angelo?" And then I couldn't get rid of her. She was stuck to me like flypaper. She was just like all, gaga over me, and just like, because my fame in her world was really high. And so, I was content to not be famous to her. I didn't care. I was just trying to make her feel comfortable. But it was kind of fun to see that switch, and it's kind of fun when you get that fax or the call back after you faxed your credentials, and the people are, super excited, sending you a limo and giving you an executive suite and all expenses paid and all this kind of stuff. It's just fun. It's just fun to get that recognition. And it's fun when your cousin Becky, you do this drawing of Becky's bunny and you put it on a canvas, and first thing within 5 minutes she hangs it on the wall. It's fun to get accolades from your family. It's fun to get accolades from the public. It's fun to be recognized. It's fun to get the money. It's fun to cash the checks. It's fun to spend that money on things that you've always wanted to do. And so today I just want to talk to you about your expectations. I had low expectations in business, when I first got started, because nobody in my family had ever been wealthy or a millionaire for sure. And I had low expectations when I started in art. In fact, my best friend didn't expect me to go far. But 10 years after we graduated from college, right after I had started my whole apprenticeship thing, she got back in contact with me, and we were best friends in college. She was always getting straight A's, and I was trying to pull a B, in those art classes. I was getting A's in all the other classes because I'm academically very smart, but the art, I was way behind. And it was like a second grader competing with someone in 14th grade. And so she got back in touch with me. It was a little more than 10 years because I'd already become successful. And we got together, and again, she looked at my walls and she said, "Who did that work?" Because she knew I wasn't good when we were together in college. And so I said, "It's mine." And she was shocked. And she asked what I was doing, and I said, "Well, I'm writing columns for the Artist Magazine and American Artist and Art Materials Today. I'm going next week to the Discovery Channel to do a art presentation for a manufacturer. Then I've got 5 shows booked in Opryland in Tennessee. And I said, and what are you doing? And she said, kind of mumbled, I'm driving a flower truck. She was earning minimum wage, driving a flower truck, and it wasn't on her list. She had not followed her dream. She was so talented, way more than me. But she had low expectations. She didn't go for the gold, and she didn't believe there would be miracles. And there she was, stuck in this rut of mediocrity, and her work hadn't gotten any better. In fact, she dropped out of college. She never even finished her degree. So your expectations can really make a difference. And I want to encourage you today, as I always say, to go for the gold. Believe in miracles. I mean, it's literally a miracle that I became successful. It's completely a miracle. I wasn't qualified. Even my own mom didn't think I should do it. I never made it to my own mom's fridge. And so if I can, go from that bad to way up there succeeding, you can too. And I just want to encourage you, at whatever level you're functioning at, don't sell yourself short. Don't say, well, I don't really want to earn money just because you're afraid you can't. I mean, if you don't want to earn money, that's fine. Nita Drought decided she didn't want to. Carol Hartward decided she didn't want to, and that's totally fine. They have plenty of money in their bank account to pay their bills, and they don't need to earn money. So they don't want the added pressure of that. If that's your decision, that's fine. But if you're deciding that you don't want to sell your art because you don't think you can, reframe your thinking. Reframe. Because literally, Carol Leather from the UK, her work was dismal. She was in these groups of other dismal artists in the UK. And literally in 1 week, her still life went from horrible to photographic renderings in our colored pencil college. And then she got so addicted, she joined the apprenticeship program. And by 6 months into the program, she was selling her 7th commission for thousands of dollars. And now for the rest of her life, she has this ability, if she wants to use it, to turn, to earn money doing something that she absolutely loves to do. So don't set your expectations low. Believe in you, even if it's just a tiny, if your faith is as tiny as a mustard seed. Just believe that you can do this, because there are miracles. I'm the classic example of a miracle. I did not have any of the qualifications to succeed, or the money, or the time. I was working 4 jobs, and I ended up being a millionaire doing something I love, which is turning you into an artist. That's my favorite thing in the whole world, is watching you succeed. When my students succeed, when Joanne ended up on the cover of a book, and she ended up being featured in international webinars, and she landed these 2 commissions, and Carol was landing 7 commissions, and all this kind of stuff was happening to my students. I was in the front row seat, clapping like a mom, because I felt like I was their fairy art mother that had transformed them from low expectations and low ambitions to this phenomenal success in a really short amount of time. So the word for your motivation today is expect more, because it's there. It's there. I read this thing one time about this couple in Europe that had saved. They wanted to come to America, and they wanted to go on a cruise. And so they had saved for about 5 years, put every extra penny and done without everything in order to go on this cruise. And when they boarded the cruise ship, they were real excited because it was going to take them to America, and they were going to get to see this United States that everybody had been talking about. But every day when it was time to eat in the dining hall, they would always go to their room, and they would eat the crackers and cheese that they had brought with them. Well, one night they were heading down the staircase to their room, and they had made friends with this couple on the cruise, and they said, why don't you join us for dinner tonight? we'd love to get to know you better. And they said, oh, we didn't buy the meal package. And the people looked at him and said, are you kidding? It's included. It's included with your trip. It's included as part of the cruise. And that kind of reminds me of children who are the children of the Most High God. He is royalty. He owns everything in the universe, and all you ask for is little tiny bits. You don't ask him to make your dreams come true, or you don't ask him to make you be able to sell your art and earn a living doing something you love. You just don't ask. And you're a child of, can you imagine if, you were a prince or a princess and you never asked the king for, paid for your expenses or a place to live or whatever? That'd be crazy. So you need to ask. You need to ask. There's a verse in the Bible that says, ask and you shall receive, that your joy may be full. And I tend to be kind of independent, so I forget to ask a lot. And then all of a sudden I realized, I don't have to do this by myself. I can ask my Father, and He'll help me. He'll help me with wisdom. He'll open doors. He'll give me favor. I mean, stuff that has happened to me is like literally not anything I could ever have orchestrated. I didn't even know who Tony Robbins was when his staff called me and hired me to go to Venice, Italy. I didn't know who Louise Hay was when she came up to my class in her Rolls Royce. I thought it was kind of odd that she was driving a Rolls. But this favor, when I asked him to help my dreams come true, he supersized it. Exceedingly abundantly above what I can ask or even think. So my message to you tonight in the motivation is, expect more. You deserve it. And you can do it. You can do anything. You can do anything that you set your mind to do if you have a tiny bit of faith. Tiny bit of faith in yourself and a huge amount of faith in your Father if you belong to the Most High God. Okay, so that's our motivational talk for today. And now I'm going to head over to the computer. Hope that I don't turn off the wrong button. I think my battery charger is working, so hopefully that won't shut off. There's always these technical dragons that are after you when you're in life. And sometimes they win. That's why I was a little bit late coming on tonight, because Peanut Butter had escaped. I had put him away tonight because I didn't want him to shut off the button again. But he figured out a way to get out the door. So he is present, as usual. He comes to every broadcast. Not all the other kitties, but Peanut Butter's here. So I'm going to move across the room right now, and I'm going to go talk about the stuff that we're going to be discussing tonight. And then I just remind you that today's Friday and tomorrow is Saturday, so I'm going to be going out to the ranch tomorrow to a yarn dyeing class. And I have a tendency to always want to do things my way instead of the way of the world. And I want to wear a warm hat in winter that's yellow, and they don't make yellow. They think yellow is a summer color. So I'm going to the alpaca ranch tomorrow to learn how to dye yarn, and then I'm going to knit my own yellow hat for the winter. And so I'm going to be out there. I might broadcast a little bit on Sandyland from out there, but their internet is really bad. You almost have to hook up, tinfoil to the ears of an alpaca and stand on one foot and grab a branch to get the internet to work. So I don't know if I'll be able to broadcast from there. But I'll be back tomorrow night to broadcast. And then I want to remind you that I take Sundays off. God had a day of rest. I figured if He has to have a day of rest, so do I. And I feel completely different when I take a day of rest. So Sunday, no one's allowed to talk to me on, my email or any of that. I just take the day off and relax. And usually I draw, because that's my favorite way to relax. It's just, I'll put on something that I want to listen to. In fact, we're actually going to be sending you, I think it's going to go out tomorrow, there's going to be an email for people who want to watch all the broadcasts in one place. We're going to put it on YouTube. We put all the broadcasts on YouTube. And so you can binge watch this weekend. And that's what I do when I'm drawing, because I like to kind of keep my brain active while I'm drawing, because it keeps my left brain from nagging my right brain and criticizing my drawing. So I'll just put on something that I want to listen to, books on tape, or you could listen to my broadcasts if you've missed a few, and just sit there and draw this weekend on Sunday. And I think it's Sunday that email is going to go out inviting you to YouTube, and you could just binge watch and watch all the broadcasts. And even if you've watched, it might be fun to watch again, because putting that adrenaline in your brain to believe in yourself and to feel like those dreams could come true for you is really important. I know when after the fire, I had this one tape that I would listen to. It's back when we had tapes. That was about 15 years ago, I think, or something, 14, 15 years. I would listen to this one tape over and over and over because my mind was so paralyzed by fear after the fire, because life was so hard, that I just needed to feed my brain all the time, not just in the morning. I had to keep that loop going. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. It was actually full of scripture verses that just affirmed, things like, my God will supply all your needs according to his riches and glory. And when I was listening to that, I literally didn't have a place to sleep. I was homeless because my house had burned down. And I was listening to things like, don't worry about anything, pray about everything, tell God your needs, and don't forget to thank him for his answers. And when you do that, the peace of God, which passes understanding, will keep your heart and mind quiet and at rest as you trust in him. And by playing these verses over and over, and there was also this guy in there who was giving a motivational speech, a wonderful Christian named, we'll have to put his link on Sandra's favorite stuff. His name is Curtis Brown. But this thing was so awesome, I just kept it in a loop going all day long to keep my brain positive so that I wouldn't give up. Because life was so hard, it was tempting to give up then. So, okay, I'm going to head over there. We're going to do the lesson today. That's going to teach you a little bit about why learning to draw is so important for watercolor, oils, acrylics, pastels, colored pencil, airbrush, quilting, fabric design, graphic design, anything you do. Very important. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can do this without hitting the wrong button. Let's see if I can manage this. Please. This touchscreen doesn't always work, so I want to be careful not to hit the wrong button.